Hi guys, welcome back to killer content. I'm so excited for the serial killer this week. So I posted a picture on the Facebook page and the Instagram seeing who could guess who the serial killer is going to be. And the answer to that lovely crime scene photo is Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. So this is a killer that is actually still alive. He was born on February 18th in 1949 in Salt Lake City, Utah. And he is actually the second most prolific serial killer in America. In history, probably. Actually, because of his confirmed kills. He was sentenced of 48. After sentencing, they found another body, so that's 49. And he also was sentenced for tampering with evidence. So he is still locked up. I believe he's in California, locked up in prison. So he's still out there. Yay. But he has no life. Like, he has 48 consecutive life sentences, no chance of parole, and 10 years on top of that. So 480 years is what he's supposed to be spending in prison. So he's gonna be dead. So I guess we'll start out with his childhood. So his mom was a piece of work, and his dad like always talked about like sex workers, like always complaining about them and everything else. His dad was a bus driver. So growing up, his parents always got in a lot of arguments, and they always got in a lot of fights, and they got violent. And when he was in school, in high school, he actually, fun fact, he's actually dyslexic. So he was like known for having an IQ of like low 80s. So he was on the scale pretty stupid. But in high school, a lot of like the violence that was in his household started to show, because he lured a 6-year-old boy into the woods and tried to stab him and kill him. But luckily the boy survived, thank goodness. He eventually, at 20 years old, graduated from high school. And so in 1969 is when he graduated. He married his 19-year-old high school sweetheart. And as soon, like after they got married, he enlisted in the Navy, and he was working on a supply ship in Vietnam. So he saw a lot of shit, you know? And while he was over there in Vietnam, he subjected to sleeping with like a shit ton of prostitutes. And I mean like a shit ton. And then contracted gonorrhea from them, but continued to fuck them. So unprotected as well. So, you know, that's also great. And then his wife was at home getting busy with somebody else. And I was like, whoo-hoo! You know what I mean? But while that was happening, like I said, she was back home and she was getting her own thing on, you know? So they eventually divorced within a year of being married. And he eventually had a second wife. And his sex drive was like really bad. Like, I mean, I'm talking like rabbit, go to Pound Town 99% of the time. He actually became religious, believe it or not. And he was like super all about the Bible. He would get mad at his wife because like she wasn't living word for word by the pastor, but he still continued to like go to street corners and pick up prostitutes, you know? So I was like, that makes literally no sense, but okay, sure, fine, yeah, whatever, you know? So he was still fucking them. She was unfaithful too, believe it or not, lo and behold. And he actually wanted, he kept like requesting from his wife that they have sex in like all of these weird like places and inappropriate places in public and everything else. And actually, he requested to have sex from her in places that his victims' bodies were later discovered at. So, wife could have been one of them. Then he eventually got divorced from her, and he supposedly had put her in a chokehold, which is why she left him. I guess him fucking prostitutes wasn't enough, you know? And her fucking someone else wasn't enough. But, you know, whatever, it's fine. Welcome to America. So, he eventually went on, and the killings really started in, like, the early 1980s. And they continued throughout the years. He actually got the name the Green River Killer because his first 5 victims were found in the Green River in Washington. So he, you know, he eventually obviously relocated to Washington. And that's really where all of his killings began. So he picked up a lot of sex workers, and he picked up a lot of teenage runaways. Now, he had stated that he picked up the prostitutes because they were easy to pick up, you know, obviously. Be like, hey, do you want to come, like, suck my dick for, like, $50? You know what I mean? Pretty easy. And then teenage runaways, this is the fucked up part. So he had a son with his second wife, right? So he had a picture of his son, and he would use the picture of his son to, like, lure those women, like the teenage runaways, to be like, yeah, you're safe with me. Like, I have a son. Everything's fine. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? So a lot of the times when he picked up these victims, where he would kill them was either his truck, his house, or in a secluded area. And how he killed them was he would be like going to pound town doggy style, you know, and then he'd like reach around to the front of them and like put his arm around them and pull back really tightly and use his other arm as leverage and choke them to death. And then he was also known for placing bodies all over the county in clusters. That's how they found a lot of his victims. They were all just together. And he, and I quote, stated, sorry, I have the quote here. I like to drive by the clusters in the county and think about the women I placed there. That's fucked up. Like, this man's fucked up. But he also was known for his hatred of sex workers, kind of like his dad. And he, I don't know, he's just really fucked up, man. Honestly, like, I'm like fucking... He's actually evaded the police, too. Like, believe it or not. He was, in 1983, he was suspected of the murders, or the Green River killings. And then in 1984, he took a polygraph test and passed. So, like, while his IQ says he's dumb as fuck, like, he's smart enough to evade police for over 20 years. And pass a polygraph test. Like, the fuck? Like, he got some mental issues. Just saying. But while he did evade the police, they did take his DNA in April of 1987, I believe. And while these killings were going on as well, they were interviewing Ted Bundy to kind of get like his opinion on what he was doing. And Ted Bundy is the one that offered up the idea of he's returning back to the bodies to have sex with them. So, lo and behold, that's what he was doing. So, while he like kept all these bodies in clusters, he would go back and fuck the dead bodies. What? And like, that's nasty. Like, imagine like dumping a body in the woods and then like not only having a sex with that dead corpse, but like that dead corpse probably covered in bugs and shit like that. Like, I cannot. But his reasoning for having sex with them was he didn't like it better than having sex with a live victim, but he had sex with the dead victims, so it would curb his need to have another like live victim. And I'm like, bitch, if you killed like 71 plus people, already and you were fucking the dead corpses to not do that, I don't even want to know what it would have been like if you didn't fuck them corpses. Like, thank you for fucking their corpses, I guess. I don't know. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, Jesus. Imagine how many more women would have died. Because Lord knows how many times he went back to, like, get a load off, you know? But, sorry. This is, like, the craziest thing to me. So, all that happened, he eventually, I think in, like, 1984 or 1985, he met his third wife. And him and her got married in 88. And she, in an interview, like in like 2010, I think, she stated that when she remembers like first moving into the house and there wasn't any carpet, which for the 80s, you know, that's weird as fuck. So the fact that there wasn't any carpet was like a red sign, but she had no idea about the Green River Killer because she doesn't watch the news. So she had no idea what was going on, you know? And she didn't find out about him being suspected of the murders until 1987 when the police had called and they got into contact with her. And she didn't know about the killer until then. She didn't know about the murder. Like, she didn't know anything until that point. And she still married his ass anyways. Like, what the fuck did you expect? Like, you're marrying a guy who's suspected of murder. Congrats. But, and I think they even told her, like, he's killing prostitutes and stuff like that, but it's like, oh, hey, whatever. She said that he would often, like, leave, like, really early in the mornings for overtime pay, but, like, you know, now looking back, she thinks that he was actually going out to kill his victims at that time. So, eventually, in 2003, he was caught, and he was charged, like I said, the 48 consecutive life sentences, no chance of parole, and then 10 years on top of it. Well, in 2005, there was a hiker in Washington who discovered the skull of a victim of his that went missing in 1983. So can you imagine, like, literally an 18-year-old skull just, like, chilling in the woods when you're, like, going for a nice little hike? Like, what? So that was another victim that he had added on. So that brings his confirmed count to 49. But there's 3 victims to this day that are still not identified. And he was arrested because his DNA was found in, like, the little hoo-ha of the dead victims because of the samples they took in 87. And then he had, like, 3 more victims tacked onto it because his spray, like, the spray paint piece, like, particles that were on the victims matched the spray paint used at his job. So, you know, boom, like, set in stone forensics. Like, you can't get past that shit. There's dead conviction at that point. So then obviously they tied him to all the other murders, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so that was, he literally, this is the part that gets me, is he literally stated that killing all of these young women was his career. Like, it, like, that's his job. Like, my job is to just, you know, kill prostitutes and teenage runaways, you know, whatever. The fuck? So, that is Gary Ridgway. The impact that I think that he had on today's society is, you know, everyone, I feel like, is so much more cautious. Like, they don't, like, stranger danger, for instance. Like, people don't talk to random people that just, like, pop up next to them in a car, you know? Like, people are not as trusting of strangers anymore, you know? Prostitutes, you know, are obviously, if they're going to choose that life, they're going to be more careful because of, like, Gary Ridgway, you know, picking up prostitutes. They're going to be really weird about it. They're going to be very careful. And then also, like, teenage runaways, like, runaway teenage girls, you don't hear about them, like, going down the highway with their thumbs up or nothing like that. Like, you don't hear about that anymore. If they run away, they run away to their significant other's house. They run away to their friend's house. Or they go, like, straight to a bus station. They don't try to, like, get a ride from anybody or nothing like that. Like, they don't, like, talk to anyone, you know? Which, again, I said, you know, some do. Like, it still happens, you know, obviously. But it's a lot less, you know? People are a lot more protective and aware, I guess, is what I would say. So that's the impact that I think that he had. He is a fucked up individual, and honestly, he's really interesting to learn about. So if you guys like want to learn more about him, like, there's an article on my page, killercontent.tv, and you can read that. Let me know if there are any more killers you guys want to hear about, anyone you're really interested in. I will be covering like Jack the Ripper and Ted Bundy and stuff like that, but that's going to be a multi-part series because I love Jack the Ripper and I love Ted Bundy. So, and I'm currently still like reading materials on them. Like, I have actual physical books for them. So I will be covering those. I'll just be covering those later. The Zodiac Killer, I also will be covering later. I want to learn so much more about him, and I want to post a whole bunch of cool stuff. But make sure you look out on our Instagram and the Facebook page for a picture of who you think next week's killer might be. And who knows, maybe we'll eventually do a sticker giveaway for whoever guesses it correctly first. I'm really excited for that, and I eventually want to do a giveaway of a t-shirt because we are getting our merch. We're working on getting our merch up and going, so I'm very excited for that as well. So our merch website will be up hopefully within a month, I'm hoping. And yeah, so that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys liked learning about Gary. I also like to use their first names because, you know, it kind of humanizes them, because they're still human, you know what I mean? They're not just like this just a shitty, well, they are just a shitty person, but you know what I mean? They're more than just like the Green River Killer or whatever, you know? They're still people. They have lives they've affected and everything like that. So hope you guys enjoyed. Stay killer.